I'm holding $47,000 in cash right now in my kitchen on the same table where my daughter-in-law told me I'd need to sell the house. But let me back up. 3 weeks ago, they all stood in my living room after Howard's funeral. Black dresses, sad faces, and underneath it all, relief. They thought I was broke. They thought Howard left me with nothing but this house and some old furniture. They were already dividing me up like a grocery list. "Mom, we need to talk about your situation," my son David said. He wore Howard's tie. I noticed that. Howard had been dead 6 hours when we buried him, and David wore his father's tie to the funeral. Before we begin, drop a comment below with your country and what time it is right now where you're watching, whether it's sunrise in Nairobi, midnight in Australia, afternoon in Canada, or evening in France. I want to know. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't just sit back. Tell me where in the world you are. Now let's dive into the story. My husband died on a Tuesday, heart attack in the garage. He was 71. I found him next to his workbench, slumped over like he just decided to rest for a minute. There was sawdust on his shoulder. I called 911, then I called David. Then I sat on the concrete floor next to Howard and held his hand until the paramedics came. It was cold, the floor I mean, and his hand. The funeral was small. Howard didn't have many friends left. Most of them were already gone. It was me, David, his wife Stephanie, my daughter Linda, and maybe 15 other people. The service lasted 30 minutes. The pastor talked about Howard's carpentry, his loyalty, his quiet nature. No one mentioned money, but I could feel them thinking about it. After the service, they came back to the house. I made coffee. Stephanie brought an apple pie no one touched. Linda sat on the couch looking at her phone. David stood by the fireplace with his hands in his pockets, waiting. "Mom, we need to talk about your situation." I poured myself coffee. "What situation?" "Your financial situation," Stephanie said. She had that voice, the one she used with her kids when they didn't clean their rooms. "We know Howard didn't have life insurance, and we know the medical bills from last year wiped out most of your savings." I didn't say anything. "We're worried about you," Linda added. She looked up from her phone. "This house is too big for you anyway. You're alone now. It doesn't make sense to keep it." "I like this house," I said. "But it's not practical," Stephanie said. "The property taxes alone. I can manage." David stepped forward. He had Howard's eyes, same dark brown, same deep-set shape, but nothing else. "Mom, be realistic. Dad's gone. You're 70 years old. You can't maintain this place by yourself, and you can't afford it." "We've been looking at some nice senior communities." Stephanie pulled out her phone, started showing me pictures. Small apartments with beige carpets and fluorescent lights, shared dining rooms, bingo on Thursdays. "I'm not going to a home," Linda said. "It's independent living." "I'm independently living right here." David sighed, the sigh that meant I was being difficult. I'd heard it 1,000 times, when he was 16 and wanted to drop out of baseball, when he was 23 and married Stephanie after knowing her 4 months, when he was 35 and bought a truck he couldn't afford. "We're trying to help you," he said. "I know." "Do you?" Stephanie set down her coffee cup. "Because from where we're sitting, it looks like you're in denial. Your husband just died. You have no income, no savings, and you're about to lose this house to back taxes." That was a lie. We didn't have back taxes, but I didn't correct her. "We think you should sell," David said, "soon, before the market shifts." "And move where?" "Spring Meadows has a nice 1-bedroom available," Stephanie said. "We already called. It's $1,500 a month, utilities included. You could afford that with Social Security." "Barely," Linda muttered. I looked at them. My son, my daughter, my daughter-in-law, all standing in my living room in their funeral clothes, planning my life. "I'll think about it," I said. That was 3 weeks ago. They've called every day since. David, Linda, sometimes both, asking if I've contacted a realtor, if I've toured Spring Meadows, if I've started packing. I tell them I'm thinking about it, But what I'm really thinking about is the watch. Howard's watch. It was in a shoebox in his closet. Old leather straps, scratched face, stopped working 12 years ago. He never got it fixed, just kept it in the box with some cufflinks and his wedding ring from his first marriage. I almost threw it away. I was cleaning out his closet last week, sorting things. Donation pile, trash pile, keep pile. The watch went in trash. But then I picked it back up. I don't know why. Something made me look at it closer. The back wasn't screwed on right. It was loose. I twisted it. It came off in my hand. And inside, taped to the inside of the back plate, was a small brass key. No label, no note, just a key. I stared at it for 5 minutes. Then I went to the garage. Howard's filing cabinet was still there, locked. It had been locked for 20 years. I'd asked him about it once, early in our marriage. He said it was old business files, nothing important. The key didn't fit. Therefore, I tried his toolbox, his desk drawers, the lockbox under the bathroom sink where we kept the passports. Nothing. I sat at the kitchen table with the key in my palm, turned it over. There were numbers stamped on the side, small, almost worn off, 457, and underneath that, in even smaller print, SFB. It took me 2 days to figure it out. Suburban First Bank. The bank on Richmond Avenue, the one Howard drove past every Thursday when he went to the hardware store. I drove there yesterday morning, walked inside, asked to speak to someone about safety deposit boxes. The woman at the desk was young, 25 maybe. She smiled at me the way people smile at old women in banks, patient, slightly condescending. "Do you have a box with us?" she asked. "I think my husband did," I said. I showed her the key. She typed something into her computer, frowned, typed more. What was the name? Howard Mitchell. More typing, then her expression changed. "Oh," she said, "yes, box 457. It's been here a long time." "How long?" "Since 1998. 27 years. She led me to a small room, gray walls, one table. She brought the box, long and metal and heavier than I expected. "Take your time," she said. Then she left. I stood there looking at it. My hands were shaking. I unlocked it. Inside was cash, stacks of it, bound with rubber bands, $100 bills. And underneath the cash, documents, deeds, stock certificates, account numbers written in Howard's handwriting on yellow legal paper. I counted the cash right there in that little room. $47,000. The documents were worth more, a lot more. I didn't take the money home that first day. I sat in that little gray room at the bank for 2 hours, counting, reading, trying to understand what I was looking at. Howard had been dead 18 days, and I didn't know him at all. The cash was the smallest part, 47,000 in hundreds, bound with rubber bands that crumbled when I touched them. Old rubber. The bills smelled like dust and metal. But the documents. 3 stock certificates, blue paper, fancy borders, companies I'd heard of. One from 1997, one from 2003, one from 2011. Howard's name in black ink, shares, numbers I didn't understand. A deed to a property in North Carolina, a cabin according to the description, 2 acres, purchased in 2001, taxes paid through last year. Bank account numbers, 4 different banks, 3 different banks, all with Howard's name, some with balance estimates written in pencil in the margins, 32,000, 18,000, 41,000. And at the bottom of the box, a life insurance policy, $250,000. Beneficiary, Margaret Ann Mitchell. Me. I read that page 4 times. The policy was from 1985, the year we got married. I watched Howard sign papers at the kitchen table that summer. He told me it was refinancing the house. I was making dinner. I didn't look. I never looked. The young woman from the desk knocked on the door. "Mrs. Mitchell, are you all right?" "Yes," I said. "I'm fine." But I wasn't fine. I was furious. Not at Howard. Not yet. First I was just confused. Then I was something else. Something that didn't have a name. I put everything back in the box except the documents. Those I folded and put in my purse. I left the cash, locked the box, walked out past the smiling girl at the desk, drove home, sat in my driveway for 20 minutes. David's truck was parked on the street. He was inside. I could see him through the kitchen window. I put the documents under my car seat. Then I went in. "David?" He turned from the sink. "Mom, I knocked. You weren't here." "I had errands." "What errands?" "Groceries." He looked at my hands. No bags. I had forgotten to stop at the store. "I forgot my list," I said, came back. He nodded slowly, like I was losing my mind, like this proved his point. "Stephanie found a realtor, Sharon Pell. She sold the Hendersons' place in 3 days. She can come by this weekend and give you an estimate." "I haven't decided to sell." "Mom," he sat down at the table, folded his hands. "We need to talk seriously. I've been going through Dad's papers, the ones in the desk. There's nothing there. No savings, no investments, just bills. Medical bills mostly from last year." I knew about those. Howard's prostate cancer, the surgery, the follow-up treatments. Insurance covered most of it, but most isn't all. "The house is paid off," I said. "But the taxes aren't, and the utilities, and food, and gas, and property insurance. Mom, your Social Security is what, $1,400 a month?" "1,600. "Okay, 1,600. That's nothing. This house costs more than that just to keep the lights on." He wasn't wrong. Therefore, I said what I always said. "I'll manage." "How? How will you manage?" I didn't answer. He leaned forward. "Dad didn't leave you anything. I'm sorry, I know that's hard to hear, but it's the truth. He was a good man, but he wasn't a planner. And now you're alone and broke, and if you don't sell this house, you're gonna lose it anyway." I looked at him, at his face, at Howard's eyes in a stranger's face. "The realtor comes Saturday," he said, 10 a.m. Just meet with her. That's all I'm asking." Then he left. I sat at the table until dark. Then I went to the car and brought the documents inside, spread them on the table under the kitchen light, did the math. Stock certificates, current value approximately $93,000. I looked that up on the computer. The desktop in the spare room, Howard's computer, the one he used for emails and weather reports. The cabin in North Carolina, worth maybe $180,000 based on similar properties I found online, maybe more. The bank accounts, according to Howard's penciled notes, at least $90,000 combined. Maybe more, maybe less. I'd have to call the banks. The life insurance, $250,000. I'd have to file a claim, prove he was dead, send the death certificate. Total, over $600,000, maybe more. Howard left me more than $500,000, and he never said a word. I sat there until midnight, trying to understand why. Why hide it? Why lock it away? Why let me think we were barely scraping by? We argued about money, not a lot, but enough. When Linda needed braces, when David wanted to go to state instead of community college, when the roof needed replacing. Howard always said we couldn't afford it. We'd figure it out, he'd say. We'd make it work. And we did. We always did. But barely. Always barely. I worked part-time at the library for 15 years, not because I wanted to, because we needed the money. Howard worked overtime at the plant, double shifts, weekends. Or so he said. Now, I didn't know. Had he been working, or had he been hiding money, building this secret pile of cash and stocks and property? and why? I went upstairs to our bedroom, stood in the doorway. The bed was still unmade from the morning he died. I hadn't changed the sheets. His pillow still had the impression of his head. I'd slept on the couch since the funeral. I walked to his side of the bed, opened his nightstand drawer, reading glasses, chapstick, a book about World War II he'd been reading for 2 years. Nothing. I checked his dresser, his closet, under the bed. Nothing. No notes, no explanations, no letters that started with, "Dear Margaret, if you're reading this." Just silence. The same silence I'd lived with for 39 years, but now it meant something different. Saturday morning, the realtor came. Sharon Pell, 50-something, blonde hair, bright smile. She walked through my house with a tablet, taking pictures, making notes. David and Stephanie came with her. They stood in the kitchen while Sharon measured the windows. "It needs work, new carpet, paint. The kitchen's original, that's a problem, but the bones are good, and the lot size is excellent. I'd list it at $370. We'll probably get $340. "That's great," Stephanie said. She looked at me. "See, that's enough for spring mellows plus a cushion for expenses." "When can we list?" David asked. Sharon flipped through her tablet. "I can have the paperwork ready Monday. We'll do some staging, bring in furniture, make it show better, then photos, then list. We could be live by the end of next week." "Perfect," David said. I was standing by the sink. They weren't looking at me. They were talking over me, around me, like I was already gone. "I'm not selling," I said. They stopped talking. Sharon looked confused. "Oh," I thought. "I'm not selling," I said again. David's face changed. "Mom, we talked about this." "You talked, I listened, but I'm not selling my house." Stephanie crossed her arms. "Then how are you going to afford to stay here?" "I'll manage." "With what money?" I almost told them, almost said it right there, almost watched their faces change. But I didn't, because something in me wanted to wait, wanted to see what they'd do, how far they'd push. "We'll talk about this later," David said. He turned to Sharon. "Thank you for coming. We'll call you." Sharon left. David and Stephanie stayed. "This is insane," Stephanie said. "You're being completely unreasonable." "It's my house." "For now," David said. His voice was different, colder. "But when you can't pay the taxes, it won't be. And then what? You'll lose it anyway, and you'll have nothing." "Then I'll have nothing." He stared at me. "What happened to you?" "My husband died." "I know that, but you're acting like—" He stopped, shook his head. "We're trying to help you. Why can't you see that?" "I see it," I said. But what I saw was something else. I saw them taking inventory, dividing assets, planning for my future without asking what I wanted. I saw them wearing Howard's clothes, standing in Howard's house, spending Howard's money before I was even gone. They left angry. I locked the door behind them. Then I went upstairs and changed Howard's sheets. I started making phone calls on Monday. First, the life insurance company. I sat at the kitchen table with the policy in front of me and dialed the number printed at the top, waited through the menu options, pressed 0 until I got a person. "Great American Life, this is Denise. How can I help you?" "My husband died. I need to file a claim." "I'm so sorry for your loss. I can help you with that. Do you have the policy number?" I read it to her. She typed. I heard computer keys clicking. "Okay, Mrs. Mitchell, I'm seeing an active policy with a death benefit of $250,000. To process the claim, I'll need a certified copy of the death certificate. You can mail that or upload it through our website." "How long does it take?" "Once we receive the death certificate, processing takes about 10 business days. Then the check is mailed." "Can you direct deposit?" "Yes, I'll send you the forms." I hung up. $250,000 in 10 business days. Next, I called the banks. 3 different banks, 4 different accounts. I had Howard's social security number, his date of birth. I thought that would be enough. It wasn't. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Mitchell," the woman at First National said, "but you're not listed on this account. I can't give you any information. He's dead. I understand, but you'll need to go through probate, bring in a court order showing you're the executor of his estate. Then we can help you. Same thing at Regional Trust, same thing at Commerce Bank. Probate, they all said. I didn't know what that meant. Therefore, I called a lawyer. Robert Haller, he'd handled the closing when we bought the house in 1987. Old man, probably retired by now, but his number was still in the phone book. A young woman answered. Haller and Associates. I need to speak to Robert Haller. Mr. Haller retired in 2019, but his son, Mickey, has taken over the practice. Would you like to speak with him? Yes. Mickey Haller sounded young, 30 maybe. He listened while I explained about Howard, about the accounts, about the safety deposit box. Okay, he said. You need to open probate. That gives you legal authority to access his accounts and transfer his assets. Did he have a will? I don't know. Let's start there. Check the house, filing cabinets, safe, anywhere he might have kept important documents. He had a filing cabinet, I said, but it's locked. Can you open it? I don't have a key. You might need to drill it or call a locksmith, but you need to find out if there's a will. If there is, that makes probate easier. If not, you'll inherit everything by default, but it takes longer. How much longer? 4 months, maybe 6. And how much does this cost? My retainer is $2,000. Total cost depends on complexity, but for a simple estate, probably $4,000 to $5,000 total. I thanked him and hung up. $4,000 I didn't have. Except I did. I had $47,000 in cash sitting in a safety deposit box, but I couldn't touch it, not without going through probate first. Except the cash wasn't in an account. It was just cash in a box with my name on the access card now that Howard was dead. No one knew about it except me. I sat there thinking about that. Then I drove back to the bank. The same young woman smiled at me. Mrs. Mitchell, back again? I need to access my box. Of course. She led me to the gray room, brought the box, left me alone. I took $10,000 in cash, left the rest, locked the box, and went home. That night, Linda called. Mom, David told me you sent the realtor away. I did. Why? Because I'm not selling the house. Silence. Then, Mom, are you okay, like mentally? I'm fine. Because this isn't like you. You're usually so practical, and now you're making these irrational decisions. They're not irrational. They are, though. You can't afford that house. You know you can't, and you're being stubborn just to be stubborn. I'm being stubborn because it's my house and my decision. But it affects all of us. That stopped me. How does it affect you? Because, she hesitated, because when you lose the house, you'll need help, and that falls on us, on me and David, and we don't have the space or the money to take care of you. I'm not asking you to take care of me. But you will eventually, and we're trying to plan ahead to make sure you're secure. That's what Spring Mellows is for, so you're safe, so they're not our responsibility. Our responsibility? I closed my eyes. I have to go, I said. Mom, I hung up, sat there in the dark kitchen. Not their responsibility. That's what I was now. A burden, a problem, a thing to be managed. The next morning, I called Mickey Haller back. I want to start probate, and I have your retainer. We met at his office that afternoon, small building off Winchester Road. He was younger than he sounded on the phone, Asian kid, wire glasses, suit that looked expensive. I gave him $2,000 in cash. He looked at the bills, then at me, but he didn't ask. Do you have the death certificate? I gave him a copy. And you don't know if there's a will? No, but I have a locked filing cabinet. I'm going to open it. Good. Call me when you do. In the meantime, I'll start the paperwork. It'll take about a week to get a court date. Then you'll be officially appointed executor. After that, you can access the accounts. I drove home, called a locksmith. He came that afternoon. Big guy, tattoos, drove a van with speedy lock service on the side. Filing cabinet, he said. I showed him. He drilled out the lock in 5 minutes. $120, he said. I paid him cash. He left. I stood there looking at the cabinet. 4 drawers, metal, olive green, probably older than me. I opened the top drawer. Tax returns, going back 30 years, filed in order, Howard's handwriting on the labels. Second drawer, house documents, deed, mortgage papers, stamped paid in full 2004, insurance policies, utility bills. Third drawer, medical records, birth certificates, mine, Howard's, David's, Linda's, marriage license, car titles. Fourth drawer, a manila envelope. Thick. I pulled it out. It wasn't sealed. I opened it. Inside was a letter, handwritten, Howard's writing. Dear Margaret, it started. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. And before we continue, please subscribe to Whispers of Grandma. Let's keep breathing life into stories that were never meant to stay silent. Stories like this deserve to be heard. Now, let's continue. My hands shook. I sat down on the garage floor, and I read. Dear Margaret, if you're reading this, I'm dead. I'm sorry. I know that's not enough, but it's all I have. I need to tell you about the money. It started in 1996. My brother died. Tom, you remember. Heart attack. He was only 51. He left me $18,000. It was a surprise. We weren't close, but he didn't have kids. I was his only family. You were working at the library. David was in high school. Linda was in middle school. Money was tight. It was always tight. I didn't tell you about the $18,000. I meant to. I planned to. But then I started thinking, what if I saved it? What if I made it grow? What if I turned it into something that could protect you, protect us? So I opened an account, put the money there, started investing, small amounts, learning as I went. I was good at it, better than I expected. In 3 years, that $18,000 became $40,000. Then I bought the cabin, a foreclosure, 2 acres in North Carolina, paid cash, $12,000. I thought maybe we retire there or sell it someday, make a profit. I kept working, kept saving, kept investing. You'd ask about overtime, about extra shifts, and I'd say yes, I was working, because I was. But I was also building this safety net, this thing that would keep you secure if something happened to me. I bought the stocks, I opened more accounts, I put money away every month. Not much, $50 here, $100 there, but it added up. By 2010, I had $200,000. By 2020, I had over $400,000. And I never told you. I don't know why, Margaret. I've asked myself that 1,000 times. Was I ashamed? Was I afraid? Was I trying to prove something? Maybe all of that. Maybe I just wanted to be the man who saved you, who protected you, even if you never knew. The insurance policy is real. The accounts are real. The cabin is real. All of it is real. And all of it is yours. I hope it's enough. I hope it helps. I hope you can forgive me. Howard. I sat on that garage floor for an hour, the letter in my lap, the sun coming through the window, making squares on the concrete. I read it 4 times. Then I folded it and put it back in the envelope. I wasn't crying. I thought I would be, but I wasn't. I was something else. Grateful, angry, confused, relieved. All of it at once. Howard had saved me, but he'd also lied to me for 29 years, and now he was gone, and I couldn't ask him why. Couldn't yell at him, couldn't thank him. I could only sit here with his letter and his money and his silence. David sat back down, put his head in his hands. "I can't believe this," he muttered. "Believe it," I said. Linda picked up her purse. "I have to go." "Linda? No, I need to process this. I can't do this right now." She left. David stayed, sat there staring at the table. "Are you mad at us?" he finally said. His voice was quiet. "No," I said, and I meant it. "I'm not mad, but I'm not grateful either. Do you understand?" "Not really." "You wanted to help. I believe that, but you wanted to help in a way that made things easier for you, not for me. That's not true." "David, you tried to sell my house without asking if that's what I wanted." He was quiet. "I loved your father," I said, "but he made decisions without me, and I lived with that, and now he's gone, and I'm still here, and I get to make my own decisions now. Even if they're bad decisions? Even then, yes." He nodded slowly, picked up the letter, read it one more time. "He was trying to take care of you," he said. "I know. In his own way. I know. Are you mad at him?" I thought about that. "No, but I wish he'd trusted me more." David set down the letter, stood up. "I should go." "Okay." He stopped at the door. "For what it's worth, I'm glad you're okay. Financially, I mean. I was really worried." "I know you were. And I'm sorry if we made you feel like you didn't matter. That wasn't the intention." "I know." He left. I sat alone in the kitchen with Howard's letter, and for the first time since he died, I felt like I could breathe. Mickey Holler called the following week. "You're officially the executor," he said. "I've got the court order. You can access the accounts now. I'll send you the paperwork." I started making calls again. First National, Regional Trust, Commerce Bank. This time, they helped me. Howard's penciled estimates were close, but not exact. First National, $34,000. Regional Trust, $19,000. Commerce Bank, $43,000. Total, $96,000. Combined with the life insurance and the cash and the stocks, I was looking at over $650,000, more than I'd ever imagined having. Therefore, I did something I hadn't done in 40 years. I took a trip, North Carolina, to see the cabin. I didn't tell David or Linda. I just got in the car one Tuesday morning and drove 6 hours through Virginia into the mountains. The address was on the deed, a route number and a lot designation. I typed it into my phone, followed the directions. The roads got smaller, paved turned to gravel, then dirt. The cabin was at the end of a long driveway, trees on both sides, no other houses in sight. I parked, got out. It was small, 1-story, wood siding, green metal roof, a porch with 2 rocking chairs. The door was locked, but the key was in the envelope with the deed. Howard's handwriting on the label, cabin key. I unlocked the door and went inside. One room, kitchenette in the corner, wood stove, 2 windows, a loft with a ladder. It smelled of dust and pine and old wood. There was furniture, a table, 2 chairs, a couch with faded floral upholstery, a bed in the loft with a quilt I recognized. My mother had made it. I thought it was lost. On the table was a notebook. I opened it. Howard's handwriting, dates, notes, replaced shingles, June 2015, fixed porch rail, October 2018, new window and loft, April 2021. He'd been here regularly for years. I sat down on the couch. Dust rose around me. All those weekends he said he was working overtime. All those Saturdays he left early and came home late. He was here, alone, fixing things, building things, sitting in this cabin in the woods. And he never told me. Never said, "Margaret, I bought us a place in the mountains. Want to see it?" Never said, "Let's go away for a weekend, just us." He kept it secret, like everything else. I walked outside, stood on the porch. The view was trees and sky and nothing else. No noise notes, no neighbors, just birds and wind. It was beautiful, and it made me so angry I couldn't breathe. Because this could have been ours. We could have come here together, sat in those rocking chairs together, watched the sun go down together. But he chose silence instead. He chose secrets. I locked the cabin and drove home. When I got back, there were 3 messages on my phone, 2 from Linda, 1 from David. "Mom, call me. Mom, where are you? Mom, we need to talk. Call me back." I didn't call. I made tea, sat at the kitchen table, looked at the deed. The cabin was worth maybe $180, maybe $200. I could sell it, add that to the rest, have close to $800,000. But I didn't want to sell it. I wanted to burn it down. Not really, but close. Linda showed up the next morning. She didn't knock, just walked in. She still had a key. "Where were you yesterday?" she said. "North Carolina." "Why?" "To see the cabin." She sat down across from me, looked tired. "What cabin?" "The one your father bought in 2001 without telling me." "Oh." We sat there. "What's it like?" she asked. "Small, quiet. He fixed it up, maintained it, went there regularly, apparently." "Alone?" "Yes." "That's weird." "Yes." She picked at her thumbnail. "So what are you going to do with it?" "I don't know. You could sell it. The market's probably good right now." "Probably. Or you could use it, go there, get away." I looked at her. "Would you want it?" "The cabin?" "Yes." She thought about it. "I don't know. Maybe. The kids would like it. A place to go in the summer." "Your father wanted it to be for us, for the family. That's what his letter said." "Then maybe that's what it should be." I nodded, but I didn't believe her, because if Howard had wanted it to be for the family, he would have brought the family there. He would have told us it existed. Instead, he kept it locked away, like the money, like everything else. Linda left after an hour. I sat there alone. Then I called a real estate agent in North Carolina, asked what cabins in that area were selling for. "Depends on condition and size," she said, "but 2 acres with a structure, you're looking at 200, maybe 220 in this market. I can come out and give you an estimate." "Not yet," I said. "I'm still deciding." I hung up. Then I called David. "Mom," he said, "where were you yesterday?" "North Carolina, to see the cabin." Silence. "What cabin?" I explained, the deed, the property, Howard's maintenance notes. He had a cabin, and he never told anyone? He told himself, that's all. That's insane. Yes. Are you okay? I don't know. Do you want me to come over? No, I just wanted you to know about the cabin, in case you want it for you and Stephanie, or the cell, or whatever. I don't want it, he said. His voice was flat. I don't want anything Dad hid from us. Okay. I'm serious, Mom. Keep it, sell it, burn it. I don't care. I don't want his secrets. He hung up. I sat there holding the phone, and I realized David was angrier at Howard than I was, because I'd lived with Howard's silence for 39 years. I was used to it. I'd learned to exist around it. But David hadn't. Linda hadn't. They thought they knew their father, thought he was simple, uncomplicated, a man who worked hard and loved his family and didn't have much to say. But now they knew different. Now they knew he'd been hiding a whole other life, not an affair, not a second family, but money, property, plans, things he kept locked away in filing cabinets and safety deposit boxes and cabins in the woods. And that changed everything. I put the phone down, poured more tea, and I decided I was keeping the cabin. Not for the family, not for investment, not for anything practical. I was keeping it because it was mine now. Howard didn't get to decide what happened to it anymore. I did. The first time I mentioned the money in public, it was an accident. I was at the grocery store, Wegmans on Liberty Street, buying things I hadn't bought in years. Good coffee, real butter, steaks. I ran into Patricia Hendricks in the dairy aisle. Patricia lived 3 streets over. She'd known Howard. Our kids went to school together. Her husband died 5 years ago, lung cancer. "Margaret," she said. She looked at my cart, at the steaks. "Treating yourself?" "A little," I said. "Good for you. You deserve it after everything with Howard." "Thank you." "How are you managing? Financially, I mean. I know it's hard. After my Tom died, I had to sell the house, move into a condo. The bills just kept coming." "I'm okay," I said. She lowered her voice, leaned in. "If you need help, there are programs for widows. I can get you the information." "I don't need help, but thank you." "You sure? Because I know Howard didn't have life insurance. Linda mentioned it at church." Something in me snapped. Howard had life insurance, $250,000, plus savings and investments and property. Her face changed. "Oh," she said. "Oh, I didn't." Linda said. Linda was wrong. "Well, that's wonderful. I'm so happy for you." But she didn't look happy. She looked surprised, then confused, then something else. Jealous. She made an excuse and walked away. I finished shopping, went home. The next day, David called. "Stephanie's upset," he said. "About what?" "About the money, about not knowing. People at work are asking her about it. Someone saw your name in the probate filings online. Now everyone knows Dad had all this money, and Stephanie feels like we should have known, like we should have been told." "You're being told now, but that's not the point. The point is..." He stopped, took a breath. "We could have used that money, Mom, when the kids were little, when I lost my job in 2016, when we almost lost the house. We struggled, and the whole time Dad had hundreds of thousands of dollars just sitting there." "He didn't know you needed it." "How could he not know?" "Because you didn't tell him. Because you're like him. You keep things quiet. You handle it yourself. You don't ask for help." Silence. "That's not fair," he finally said. "Maybe not, but it's true." He hung up. A week later, Stephanie called me directly. "Margaret, we need to talk." She never called me Margaret. It was always Mom or nothing. "What about?" I said. "David's inheritance." "What about it?" "He should get half of everything, half of the life insurance, half of the accounts, half the value of the cabin." "Why?" "Because he's Howard's son. He's entitled to it." Howard left everything to me. In his letter, in his policy, in the account beneficiaries, all of it was for me. But legally, it's mine. I've checked with my lawyer. Howard made me the beneficiary on everything. David gets nothing unless I choose to give it to him. Her voice got sharper. So you're just going to keep it all? It's my money. But it's not fair. David worked hard his whole life, and now you're sitting on over $500,000 that could help him, help us, help your grandkids. My grandkids are fine, but they could be better. We could pay for college. We could buy a bigger house. We could... Stephanie, I kept my voice calm. This money is not yours. It's not David's. It's mine. Howard left it to me, and I'm going to use it however I choose. And how is that? By sitting in that big empty house all alone? If that's what I want, yes. She hung up, but she called back an hour later. I'm sorry, she said. She was crying. That was rude. I shouldn't have said that. No, you shouldn't have. It's just, we're stressed. Money is tight, and knowing that there's all this money right there and we can't, it's hard. I understand. Do you? Yes. Then help us, please, just a little, enough to pay off the credit cards, enough to breathe. How much do you owe? $23,000. I closed my eyes. I'll think about it. Really? I said I'll think about it. She hung up. I sat there. $23,000 in credit card debt. They made decent money. David's salary was $55,000 a year. Stephanie worked part-time as a dental hygienist, maybe $25,000. $80,000 a year combined, and they couldn't pay off their credit cards? I thought about calling David, asking him where the money went, why they were in debt. But I knew where it went. I'd seen it. New trucks every few years, vacations, the boat they bought and used twice, the four-wheelers in the garage. They spent money they didn't have, just like half of America, and now they wanted me to fix it. I didn't call David. I called Linda instead. Do you need money? I asked. What? Do you need money? You and Marcus, are you struggling? We're fine, Mom. Are you? Silence. Then, we're managing. That's not what I asked. We have debt. Everyone has debt, but we're managing it. How much? Mom, how much, Linda? $40,000. Credit cards, student loans, the car, but we're making payments. And if you didn't have the debt, would life be easier? Of course, but we're not asking you for money. But you're thinking about it. Silence. I'm your daughter, she finally said. Of course I'm thinking about it, but I'm not going to beg for it. Good, I said. I hung up, and I sat there thinking. David needed $23,000. Linda needed $40,000. $63,000 total. I could write them each a check tomorrow, fix their problems, make their lives easier, and they'd be grateful for a while. But then what? Another truck, another vacation, another thing they couldn't afford, and they'd be back, asking again, expecting more. Because that's what happens when you give people money without requiring them to change. They spend it, and then they need more. Howard knew that. That's why he hid the money. Not because he didn't love them, but because he did. Because he knew they'd spend it, waste it, blow through it in 5 years and have nothing left. So he locked it away, kept it safe, let them struggle, let them learn. I sat there until dark. Then I wrote 2 checks, $5,000 each, for David, for Linda. Not enough to solve their problems, but enough to help. And a note with each check. This is a gift, not a loan. Don't ask for more. I mailed them the next day. David called 3 days after I mailed the check. "Mom, I got your check." "Good. It's not enough." I didn't say anything. "I mean, I appreciate it, but we need more. The credit cards are more than 20,000. 5,000 barely makes a dent." "Then you'll have to make more dents yourself." "But you have the money." "Yes, I do, and it's mine." "But we're your family." "I know. That's why I sent you $5,000. 5,000 isn't—" "David," I kept my voice level, "I'm not giving you more. Not now, maybe not ever. You need to figure this out yourself. That's not fair." "Life isn't fair. Your father taught me that." He hung up. Linda called an hour later. "Thank you for the check, Mom." "You're welcome. It'll help with the car payment." "Good." Silence. Then, "Is this all we're getting?" "Yes." "Okay." She sounded disappointed, but not angry. "Okay, well, thank you." "You're welcome. Are you doing okay with everything?" "I'm fine." "You sure?" "Yes." "Okay, well, I love you." "I love you too." She hung up. And that was it. David didn't call again. Neither did Stephanie. Linda texted once a week. Short messages. "How are you? Hope you're good." Nothing about money. I hired someone to clean the house, a woman named Rosa who came every other Friday. She was from Guatemala, spoke broken English, worked hard. I paid her cash. I bought new furniture. Nothing fancy, but new. A couch that didn't sag, a chair that didn't creak, a bed with a mattress that didn't have 39 years of Howard's shape pressed into it. I started going to the cabin. Once a month at first, then twice a month, then every weekend. I'd drive down Friday afternoon, stay until Sunday, sit on the porch, read, walk in the woods. I didn't fix anything, didn't change anything, just existed there, in the quiet, alone. And it was the first time in my life I felt like I could breathe. One Saturday in May, I was sitting on the porch when a truck pulled up. A man got out, older, maybe 75, flannel shirt, work boots. "Afternoon," he said. "Hello. I'm Bill Carver. I live about a mile up the road. I knew Howard." I stood up. "You did?" "Yeah. We'd see each other at the hardware store in town. Got to talking. He told me about this place. I helped him with some repairs, the roof, the porch rail." I found his notes about the work. "He was a good man, real quiet, but good." Yes, he was. "I was sorry to hear he passed, saw the obituary in the paper, figured you might sell the place." "I thought about it." "But you didn't." "No." He nodded. "Good. It's a nice spot, peaceful." "It is." "You need anything, you let me know. I'm just up the road." "Thank you." He got back in his truck and left. I sat down on the porch again, and I thought about Howard, about the hours he spent here, fixing things, building things, sitting where I was sitting. He never brought me, never told me, never shared it, but he left it to me. And maybe that was his way of saying what he couldn't say when he was alive, that he loved me, that he wanted me to be okay, that he was trying, in his broken, silent way, to take care of me. I still didn't understand it, still didn't know why he hid everything, still didn't know why he couldn't just talk to me. But I was done being angry about it, because anger didn't change anything. He was gone. The money was mine. The cabin was mine. The life I built from here was mine. And that was enough. I stayed at the cabin that whole weekend. When I drove home Sunday night, I stopped at the grocery store, bought flowers, went to the cemetery. I hadn't been since the funeral. Howard's grave was under a tree, simple headstone, just his name and dates. I put the flowers in the holder, stood there for a minute. I found the watch, I said, and the key, and the letter. The wind moved through the trees. I don't understand why you did it, but I'm not mad anymore. A crow called from somewhere behind me. I'm keeping the cabin and the money, and I'm gonna be fine. You don't have to worry. I turned to leave, then stopped. Thank you, I said, for trying. And I meant it. I drove home, parked in the driveway, went inside. The house was quiet, empty, but not lonely, just quiet. I made tea, sat at the kitchen table, opened my laptop. I've been thinking about something for weeks, a plan, a possibility. I pulled up the website for the local community college. They had classes for older adults, art, writing, history, languages. I clicked on the spring schedule, Introduction to Photography, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 a.m. I signed up, paid the fee when Howard's money. Then I closed the laptop and I sat there in my quiet house with my tea and my new life. And for the first time in 39 years, I felt like myself. David and Stephanie sold their boat, got serious about the debt. It took them 2 years, but they paid it off. They don't ask me for money anymore. We have dinner once a month. It's awkward sometimes, but we're learning. Linda and Marcus refinanced, made a budget. They're doing better. Linda calls every Sunday. We talk about the kids, about her work, about normal things. I still go to the cabin twice a month. Bill Carver comes by sometimes. We sit on the porch and drink coffee and don't talk much. It's comfortable. I took that photography class, then another one, then another. Now I take pictures of the mountains, the trees, the light through the cabin windows. Nothing fancy, just things I see. Things Howard saw too, I think. But now they're mine. I'm 71 years old. I'm a widow. I live alone in a house that's too big for one person. But I'm not lonely, and I'm not scared, and I'm not anyone's burden. I'm just Margaret. And that's enough. If this story of quiet strength resonated with you, if you've ever felt taken for granted, let me know in the comments. Share your own small acts of courage. And if you want more real stories about finding your voice later in life, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for the Grandma's Chair.